You're an idiot.
Yes, I am!
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the most annoying, cringy, or just plain awful movie characters that we were supposed to root for. To limit ourselves, we'll only be looking at primary protagonists or ensemble casts, no side characters.
In response to this direct threat to the Republic, Misha proposed that the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Number 20, Mike, The Blair Witch Project.
I know.
Lost, admit that first, because...
We're not, I know we're not lost.
Oh, you knew that yesterday, too, and you knew that twice
Look,
today.
This guy is a spitting example of what you shouldn't do in a crisis. When Mike and two other junior filmmakers set out into the woods to find the fabled Blair Witch, they end up with a lot more than they bargained for. And how does Mike react to the pressure? By kicking their map into a river out of frustration. That's how.
I'm not.
Your own map was useless! This was your own map was useless!
Even worse, he refuses to take responsibility for his actions, and instead remains a whiny, immature pessimist until the very end. Now, to be fair, no one's going to be completely level-headed when running from a malevolent witch. But you could do a whole lot better than Mike's piss-poor attitude.
I would love to hear this right now. I really would.
I'm just trying to say that, we have to
I know.
rationally say they might very well go on forever compared to our footsteps.
Number 19, Julianne Jules Potter, My Best Friend's Wedding. Wedding crashers have nothing on Jules Potter. Rather than reminiscing over the one that got away, this conceited rom-com lead decides to take her man back by sabotaging his wedding.
It sounds like a great opportunity.
Oh, and keep in mind, she's literally the maid of honor, too. What's more, Jules strings along the lovesick George to help her with her scheme.
In the beginning, it was mostly this prior claim he belonged to me. But now, when I'm with him, he's just so wonderful.
In the end, the only thing she succeeds at is making everyone around her miserable. Julia Roberts never turns in a bad performance, but it's hard to get on her side when it's clear that Jules only cares about three things: Jules, Jules, and Jules. By the time she sees the error of her ways, it's too little, too late.
Choose me. Marry me. Let me make you happy.
Number 18, Cole Young, Mortal Kombat.
You've been chosen.
Chosen? For what?
To fight.
Video game adaptations don't always pan out, and decisions like this are exactly why. Instead of starring Raiden, Sub-Zero, or Scorpion, 2021's Mortal Kombat introduced a whole new main character. To say Cole Young didn't connect would be an understatement. He's a boring, wet blanket on the story that sucks away screen time from characters fans actually wanted to see. Cole is completely unnecessary, especially since the games have been delivering cinematic story modes without him for years now. It's not like Mortal Kombat is lacking in iconic main characters either. Cole Young is a damning fatality on what could have been a great film, and no amount of bland fight scenes could convince audiences otherwise.
Sorry. My days fighting for $200 are done.
You're finally quitting, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Number 17, Sierra Burgess. Sierra Burgess is a loser. Catfishing, lying, unwanted kisses, more catfishing. No, we aren't describing a supervillain. We're talking about Sierra Burgess. Although, when you think about it, they're basically one and the same. For context, Sierra realizes the best way to woo her crush, Jamie, is to text him pretending to be it girl Veronica.
This is kind of interesting. Your voice sounds different than I remember it.
Oh, yeah, I have a cold.
If you thought the ruse would end on their first date, you'd be wrong. There, Sierra concocts an elaborate scheme to steal a kiss from him. He's none the wiser, of course. For someone trying to make it into Stanford, Sierra clearly doesn't know the meaning of the word consent. It's obvious that, loser or not, Sierra Burgess is no hero.
Sorry, I suck so bad.
Number 16, Tom Hansen, 500 Days of Summer. You know the saying, if you love something, set it free? Well, apparently Tom Hansen never learned that one.
See,
No.
They say that.
Well, they're lying.
One day at work, he meets Summer Finn, the girl of his dreams. Or so he thinks. As the film goes on, it's abundantly clear that Tom is more in love with the idea of Summer than who she really is. But rather than working through that, he mopes around and lashes out when she can't meet his unrealistic standards.
No, don't pull that with me. Don't even try to. This is not how you treat your friend.
In Tom's defense, his toxic relationship with Love lays the groundwork for some worthwhile character growth. It just takes a very, very long time to get there.
I know you think that she was the one, but I don't. No, I think you're just remembering the good stuff.
Number 15, Catwoman. Catwoman. Don't get excited. Despite the name, this is not Selena Kyle. In fact, she's barely a character at all. Patience Phillips' entire personality can be boiled down to bad cat puns and some laughable method acting. Throw in a few bizarre feline tics and you have Catwoman, a role that turned Halle Berry from an Oscar winner into a Razzie recipient.
Catnip.
Look, it's one thing to write a bland action star, but another entirely to drag Catwoman's name into it. Instead of just a bad character, now she's a bad character with massive missed potential.
What a perfect idea.
They say cats always land on their feet, but the same could not be said for Patience. Number 14, Noah Calhoun, The Notebook.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Noah?
Grab a pen and paper. We could fill more than one notebook with Noah's red flags. For one, he threatens to throw himself off of a Ferris wheel if Allie doesn't go on a date with him. Then, when she breaks it off, he proceeds to write her letters every single day for a full year. While they were actually intercepted by Allie's mom, for all Noah knew, he was getting rejected. But did that stop him? Of course not.
I wrote you 365 letters. I wrote you every day for a year.
Even worse, he later buys their dream house in a desperate, obsessive act to steal her from her fiancé. That, friends, is called a pattern. Ryan Gosling's charm can only excuse so much.
So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. And we're going to have to work at this every day, but I want to do that because I want you.
Number 13, Paul Blart. Paul Blart, Mall Cop.
You aren't gonna touch her, but you are gonna feel this.
To protect and serve. That's the motto of law enforcement. For Paul Blart, though, it's more like to eat and self-serve. See, despite his best intentions, the only thing Paul truly protects is his own interests. His normal day on the job includes gouging on food, stalking women on security cameras, and occasionally even putting himself in the middle of a life-or-death mall heist. Instead of endearing, Paul's bumbling antics come off as eye-rolling at best and grossly incompetent at worst.
Security guard? Really?
Although maybe that's just how mall cops in movies are. Ronnie Barnhart from Observe and Report isn't any better, and trust us, that's a low bar to meet.
I'm a cook, and I'm serving up justice.
You're a security guard.
Hot plates of justice.
Number 12, Jim Preston, Passengers.
Good morning, James. How are you feeling?
Wait, what?
After waking up from his spaceship's cryostasis 90 years early, Jim Preston realizes he has to live out the rest of his life in isolation. Unless, of course, he wakes someone up to spend it with. Naturally, he picks the pretty girl. Even putting aside his creepy behavior towards her sleeping body, Jim resigning Aurora to his same tragic fate is just plain unforgivable, especially since he lies and blames her awakening on a malfunction.
How could you do it? I tried not to.
Jim is pretty much as selfish as you can get, and his romance with Aurora isn't love. It's textbook Stockholm Syndrome. As long as he's at the helm, we recommend you pass on Passengers.
You saved my life. And I know that's no excuse for what I did.
Number 11, The Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds.
I think they're talking about us. No way.
Watching underdogs grow a spine and overthrow their oppressions is a tale as old as time. Sadly, the finer details of this one haven't aged very well. Like, say, when they dress up as one of their enemies and sleep with his unknowing girlfriend. As if that's not bad enough, they also took explicit photos of the girl and sold them inside pies to win a fundraiser. Oh, and it was for charity too. Yeah, and these guys have the gall to say the jocks are the evil ones. Even though the titular nerds are framed as the heroes of the story, several of their exploits are straight up villainy.
Are all nerds as good as you?
Yes.
Number 10, Brian E. Tallis, Atonement.
It was Robbie, wasn't it?
By the time she was 13 years old, Brian E. Tallis had already ruined a man's life. Her infatuation with her sister's boyfriend Robbie gets messy when her cousin is attacked by an unseen assailant. Subconsciously blinded by jealousy, Brian E. points the finger at Robbie, condemning him for a crime he didn't commit, all the while letting the real culprit off the hook.
Yes. I did. I saw him.
With your own eyes?
Yes. I saw him. I saw him with my own eyes.
At the very least, Brian E. comes to her senses and apologizes to Robbie and her sister. Not. As it turns out, Brian E.'s penance is a fictitious scene from her latest novel. So not only does she never own up to her mistake, she's actively profiting off it too. That's not atonement. That's just disgraceful.
My sister and Robbie were never able to have the time together. They both so longed for and deserved.
Number 9, Robin, Batman Forever.
What do you think? What's a good sidekick name?
How about Dick Grayson, college students?
This sidekick needs a kick in the rear. That or his spandex privileges revoked. Either one works. Dick Grayson lost his family to Two-Face's villainous schemes, but that doesn't excuse him using Robin's name to pursue a personal vendetta, particularly since it breaks Batman's no-kill rule. When he's told no, Robin steals the Batmobile and goes after Two-Face on his own. With behavior like that, he's more like a bratty teenager than a crime-fighting vigilante.
Good. Because you gotta help me find him. And when we do, I'm the one who kills him.
So you're willing to take a life?
As long as it's Two-Face.
Then it will happen this way.
While Robin does eventually come around, none of his shoehorned redemption arc feels particularly earned. If anything, Robin's temper tantrum makes you wonder what Batman saw in him in the first place.
This is why Superman works alone.
Number 8, Mark, Love Actually. Don't let the name fool you. This is more like Schoolyard Crush, actually. It all starts with Mark. Like all good pals, he's in love with his best friend's wife, Julianne. Except his quote-unquote romantic gestures include giving her the cold shoulder and turning their wedding video into a close-up of Juliet's face.
You never talk to me. You always talk to Peter.
Then, on Christmas Eve, of all days, Mark shows up on her doorstep with cue cards to confess his love. After she kisses him, Mark resigns himself to just being friends anyways. He couldn't have realized that before macking on his best friend's wife. She may be named Juliet, but Mark is no Romeo. That's for sure. Number 7, Sam Witwicki, Transformers. In this 2007 action film, the robots in disguise took their nickname way too literally. Arguably, they aren't even the main characters. No, that honor belongs to Shia LaBeouf's Sam Witwicki, who takes the awkward teen trope to new, cringeworthy heights. Sam isn't a bad person or anything, it's just that no one showed up to a movie called Transformers wanting to watch a nerd get the girl.
I think there's a lot more than meets the eye with you.
It doesn't help that, more often than not, the movie reduces Sam to comedic relief rather than any sort of fully fleshed out character. As a result, fans made it very clear they expected more Transformers in their Transformers movies.
That was really awesome.
It felt awesome.
Are you okay?
I'm not okay, all right? I'm losing my mind a little bit. I'm getting chased by my car right now. I gotta go.
You know, I'm gonna catch up with you guys later.
Number 6, P.T. Barnum, The Greatest Showman, Showcasing revisionist history at its finest, this crowd-pleasing musical took some serious artistic liberties with its main character, namely that the real P.T. Barnum wasn't exactly friendly to the people he employed. But even judged on its own merits, Hugh Jackman's take on the character is far from innocent. Just like in the history books, he doesn't welcome differences. He takes advantage of them.
Well, they're laughing anyway, kid, so might as well get paid.
To prove it, Barnum later chooses a singer's tour over his namesake circus, abandoning his family faster than you can say showman. In the words of Jenny Lind herself, nothing will ever be enough for P.T. Barnum.
Of course, I wouldn't suggest otherwise.
Number 5. Wilhelmina Willie Scott, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. If you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know that Indy works better alone. But for some head-scratching reason, the sequel decided he needed a partner. Not just any partner, though. A singer with absolutely no experience in high-stakes adventures, also known as Willie Scott.
All right! Oh, I broke a nail.
She spends half her screen time complaining and the other half screaming about every tiny obstacle. Even worse, distributor Paramount Pictures never learned their lesson. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull tried to introduce yet another unwanted side character, this time in the form of Indy's new protege, Mutt Williams. Neither Willie nor Mutt have appeared beyond their initial film, and that's probably for the best.
And you're just too proud to admit that you're crazy about me, Dr. Jones.
Number 4. Bella Swan, The Twilight Saga. Let's make one thing clear. Kristen Stewart is a great actress. However, her work in the Twilight films doesn't necessarily reflect that. It's partly the scripts, partly the story, and partly the fact that Bella Swan is almost universally defined by her relationship to Edward and Jacob.
No, I'm not. I know what I want.
Whenever she isn't around one of her love interests, she's talking about them, or in some cases, putting herself in mortal danger just to get their attention. Bella's actions nearly lead to an all-out war, and even then, she looks bored through it all. In a way, that sums up Bella Swan perfectly. She isn't irredeemably evil, she's just uninteresting, which honestly might be even worse.
It's painful, but it's bearable.
Number 3. Guru Maurice Pitka, the Love Guru. This guy claims to be the number 2 guru in the world, but based on the havoc he wreaks in just 90 minutes, we'd say his rank is a lot lower, and we do mean a lot. Guru Pitka's love advice usually ends up doing more harm than good, although that's hardly surprising considering most of it comes from offensive jokes and PowerPoint slides.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Guru Pitka isn't wise, funny, or interesting. He's a self-absorbed gold digger that wears out his welcome fast. Like within the first 10 minutes fast. Since Mike Myers starred, wrote, and produced this maligned misfire, he has no one to blame but himself.
I have one idea that just might work.
Number 2. Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen. Meet Evan. He's your average high school kid, shy, nervous, and quietly pining after the pretty girl in class, Zoe. One day, he decides to ask her out the way every normal kid does, by pretending he was best friends with her recently deceased brother. Really?
He took you to the apple orchard? When?
Oh, once. Just once, that one.
Somehow it gets worse. In order to keep up his ruse, Evan forges emails, manipulates Zoe, and even befriends her grieving parents. No amount of crying or bursting into song can ever justify such an inhumane act. And yet the film tries its darndest to present Evan as some kind of misunderstood anti-hero. In reality, Evan Hansen isn't just a villain, he's a monster.
Let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll...
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Jill Saddlestein, Jack and Jill. Quick heads up, if you see Jill on your screen, you may as well turn off the TV. Your ears will thank us. Played by Adam Sandler in Drag, Jill is every single grating female stereotype crammed into a single headache of a character. And somehow, that's still underselling just how annoying she is.
Oh, will you just stop it already? It was just a date!
It's not in a funny way either. It's just plain bad. Although perhaps the most unrealistic part is that she has a whole romantic subplot with Al Pacino of all people. How he stands her is beyond us. Jack and Jill is often considered one of the worst films ever made, and considering its female lead, we understand why.
Why would you say that? We were just having fun! We never had fun when you were around, I'm sorry!
Which movie heroes do you detest with all your being? Let us know in the comments below.
I knew I felt a spark between us.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.